We say hello to Charles Pellegrin.
Hi, François.
We woke up this morning to news that French investigating magistrates have requested the lifting of far-right candidate Marine Le Pen's parliamentary immunity.
Yes, the legal woes continue for Marine Le Pen. French prosecutors investigating the National Front leader for alleged fraud have asked the European Parliament to lift her parliamentary immunity. The MEP and French presidential candidate is accused of misusing EU funds to cover party expenses. Le Pen, who's famously anti-European and is promising to hold a referendum on France's membership to the European Union, denies the allegations. More with Shaban Silk.
Her legal woes are mounting, but with the first round of the election days away, Marine Le Pen has little interest in discussing what she no doubt sees as a distraction from her campaign.
It's a debate we'll have in front of the European Parliament's legal committee. It's a legal debate.
So you don't want to talk about it?
No.
Le Pen is accused of using EU funds meant to pay for parliamentary assistance to instead pay for National Front staff in France, including her own bodyguard. The judge's request to lift her parliamentary immunity comes after she and another National Front MEP declined to be interviewed by police. A close aide of Le Pen's has been placed under formal investigation in connection with the allegations Le Pen furiously denies. But the European Parliament has told her to pay back €340,000 or it would begin docking her pay. This isn't the only legal issue she's facing. In February, the European Parliament lifted her immunity for another infraction dating back to 2015, tweeting pictures of Islamic State group violence, something banned under French law.
It's mad. Are we meant to hide the pictures? The French government is really trying to protect Daesh.
The French prosecutor's inquiry into that case is still underway. Like the fraud probe, it's not expected to be concluded until well after the presidential election.
You know, earlier in the week we were discussing how there's really two national fronts. There's the former communists who in the north of France are backing her protectionist policies. In the south of France, different story. It's much more about identity politics.
Absolutely, and actually this weekend, Marine Le Pen will be holding a rally in the southern city of Perpignan, right next to the border with Spain. And this is a city where the National Front's far-right program has a lot of support among locals. Luke Shrago is following Marine Le Pen during this campaign. He tells us why exactly Perpignan could be considered to be the so-called heartland of the Front National.
If you were to speak of a heartland for the far-right French National Front, this may well be it. Not far from the Spanish border, Perpignan in the south has extremely high levels of immigration, and moreover, it has a massive problem with unemployment. It's the highest level in France, currently running at just over 15%. Now, the town really lost out to Toulouse, not too far away, which is, of course, where aircraft manufacturer Airbus has set up. And of course, tourists too aren't really coming here either. They prefer towns and resorts, far better known ones, further across to the east. Now, that's all left majorly fertile ground for far-right ideas from the National Front to take root. And not just particularly in a town that sees itself not just left behind by France, but by Europe as a whole.
In Perpignan, you can find all of the social and sociological problems that the National Front has been denouncing for the past 30 years. It's true that in Perpignan, there's a concentration of all the national issues that you can find either on the right or the left in various cities and regions. Whether it's unemployment, problems linked to immigration, the labour market, economic development, and so on.
3 years ago, Perpignan gave the National Front its top result in regional elections. Its first round, it came in with a showing of over 30% of the vote. That went up to nearly 45% of the vote in the second round. Now, with polls indicating that Marine Le Pen could well double that first round showing this time round, it seems the National Front president could well expect a warm welcome when she addresses her next rally on Saturday here at the Palais des Congrès.
Unemployment in France first affecting the youth. A front-page story a couple of days back in the French newspaper of record Le Monde was talking about how, and this is unprecedented, the National Front could attract the largest slice of the youth vote.
Yeah, a recent poll saying that the Front National, according to a recent poll, could collect around 40% of the vote for the demographic of 18 to 24-year-olds. So it's quite surprising because of the cliche that young voters tend to vote towards the left end of the political spectrum. This highlights the success in Marine Le Pen's sort of strategy of rebranding her party over the years, kind of whitewashing it. And on the other end of the spectrum as well, Jean-Luc Mélenchon is the candidate that is most trusted by young voters. Chris Moore, our reporter, followed some young Mélenchon supporters in the northern town of Roubaix.
Doing the rounds in one of France's poorest towns. These volunteers are campaigning for Jean-Luc Mélenchon. At just 25, Paul was hoping to become a member of parliament. He says he went into politics to help the young.
The youth here are the worst hit by unemployment and the economic crisis and social crisis in poor neighbourhoods. They feel forgotten, like these elections don't concern them.
Despite Mélenchon's promise of wealth redistribution and improved welfare, convincing young people here to vote isn't always easy.
I voted for François Hollande in 2012, but he did nothing, and people are disillusioned. You elect a president, but at the end of the day, nothing changes.
To start off with, I didn't want to vote because it didn't interest me at all. Then I talked to my family and we've decided to vote for Mélenchon. We just hope that he'll put his program into practice, unlike all the other presidents.
A recent poll showed Jean-Luc Mélenchon overtaking Marine Le Pen in the battle for young people's votes. But securing them in places like this is an uphill struggle, faced with poverty, apathy and a dislike of politicians.
Well, that was Chris Moore reporting from Roubaix in northern France. And yesterday I asked the spokesperson of La France Insoumise, or Unbowed France, or any number of other translations for the movement of Jean-Luc Mélenchon. Her name is Raquel Garrido, and I asked her why she thinks the program of that movement resonates with young voters. Here's what she said.
What we're asking for is more rights for youth. We're asking for a right to vote at 16-year-olds. And then we're asking for a constituent assembly to be organized to have new rules for our democracy. And I think we touched a sensitive string there because the youth I think are tired of being told to vote in this system or for these candidates. And they're not confident that that actually has any use. So the idea that we're going to start over and build a new democracy, including with these young ones, I think it's a good project. It goes further away, further ahead. And then we've been very smart, I think, using YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, video games. Our team is very young. The head of the campaign is 30 years old. I'm one of the old ones, and I'm 42. So it's a pretty young team.
Well, that video game, François, obviously fiscal combat, where Jean-Luc Mélenchon shakes down rich capitalists to get money to redistribute to the poor.
Yeah, old-time graphics as well. Thanks for that, Charles Pellegrin. By the way, we'll be having a Facebook Live in some 90 minutes' time to be discussing the French election campaign. Do join us on the World This Week Facebook page. More news coming up, plus the day's business and sports.